Campfire Classics is a classic literature podcast. However, your hosts will occasionally use not-so-classy language and immature humor to describe very mature situations. As such, listener discretion is advised. Hi, I'm Ken Sandberg.
And I'm Heather Michelle Waller.
Welcome to Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
I'm gonna make you popular in 2025. I hope so. I hope we make popular in 2025.
Yeah. Campfire Classics, popular in 2025.
I'm in for it. Let's go. People are going to need an escape somehow.
Yeah. Okay, so what does it take? What do we have to do? Hey, listeners, campers, what would it take for us to get you to share this with every fucking buddy you know?
Every fucking buddy. Not every fucking buddy.
Although them too.
Everybody. If
them
you have
too.
lots of fucking buddies,
you know
good,
what?
share them. But
I really hope that at some point in our now 5-year history of a podcast, which it's damn close to, somebody has had sex to Campfire Classics.
I don't know if I like that or not.
Please share this podcast with every fucking buddy you know.
I think it'd be great, like, post-coital listening. Like, cozy up and listen to a weird story.
I don't need no cigarette.
Yeah, cigarettes are like, I mean, Disney can't even have, they've like literally edited out all the cigarettes in their movies.
Have they?
Yeah, like in the old ones, they've gone through, and unless it's a villain, like no more cigarettes. Yeah.
I'm curious to see how would they do that with Casablanca, which I don't think is a Disney property, yeah. So it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
But I am curious how, if it were decided that was going to happen, how would they go about that?
Well, because like some of the like cartoon characters used to smoke and stuff.
Right.
Like, I mean,
cartoons are easier to edit. You just redraw them.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's tough to redraw Humphrey Bogart. True.
But yeah, smoking so 1952. This is 2025. We got podcast post-sex.
Post-coital podcast.
Post-coital podcasting.
And if not us, dear listener, who would you recommend as a post-coital podcast? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the podcasts I listen to on the regular that is not ours. None of them. But
absolutely none of them.
But ours is like story time. Like, yeah. I don't know.
And sometimes it's kind of sexy.
Sometimes. Sometimes it really tries.
Sometimes it's just sexual.
Well, that
which is
happens
not the same thing at all.
Yeah, but it's 2025. We are here. I hope y'all had a lovely New Year. We had a little vacay down in Asheville. I got the neurovirus or food poisoning. That was fun.
Or something that was very
aggressive. It was definitely the sickest I've ever been in front of Ken.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I've been sick, but like once or twice during the entire sickness. That was like once or twice every 20 minutes for like 12 hours.
Yes, yeah. If by sickest what you mean is the number of occasions that by
far, but
a
also
trip
like
to the physical illness room was
but
necessary.
Also, like, I didn't really eat right for like a week.
Oh yeah.
And like you had something too that made yours.
I had a bout of acid reflux or heartburn. So I did research. Heartburn is just one of the symptoms of acid reflux. Acid reflux. A lot of people, I posted a thing on social media. A lot of people seem to be concerned that I was dealing with some sort of chronic thing. Near as I can tell, it's not that. I had a temporary bout of acid reflux.
I still think you had a milder version of whatever I had, but that's just because of the timing.
Possible. But I don't know. Yeah, well.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I didn't vomit.
Your mom didn't get sick.
Sleep.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was not fun. But we've made it out to the other side.
That's how we started 2025. So, it can really only go uphill from here as I knock on wood.
Knock on things.
Yeah. and he's knocking on his head.
Yeah, it's
But
like wood.
I hope y'all had
It's hollow.
your head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. But we had a good time in Asheville, minus the illness. I got some epic ink.
Yeah.
Got a really great tattoo at Zen Ink in Asheville.
It is a full-ass back piece.
It's a full-ass back piece. It's what I've wanted for a long time, and I did it.
To be clear, full-ass back piece, not full-ass back piece.
Yeah,
it does not go all the way down.
And there is no ass on my back. There's no it's not a butt. Just to clarify.
A tattoo of a butt on your back.
On your back. That'd be very confusing.
That'd be needless.
But I like it. It's healing. It's a little itchy right now because that's the stage we're at. If anyone has had tattoos before, you understand. But yeah.
Yeah, apparently itchiness is like the worst symptom of getting a tattoo.
Yeah, if you can deal with the heat. If you can deal with the pain of the tattoo, which for me is never that bad. This was my third tattoo, and I continue after this was very large compared to my other two. And I will continue to tell people exactly what I told them before. I don't think it hurts. I think it is annoying. So, it's kind of an annoying thing happening to you during the time, and then it's done. So as you will. I don't think Ken's going to be getting any tattoos anytime soon because he's doesn't like the needles.
No, we still need to reach 100 Patreon subscribers before I will get a tattoo.
I know. I've forgotten about that until you started saying it. I'm like, oh, yeah. You like made a bet when we first started this
100 Patreon subscribers will earn me
90 off.
We're only 96 shy.
Jesus Christ.
No, we've got a handful, and thank you to our Patreon subscribers.
Thank
you. We owe you a video. Oh, I'll edit together that mystery video, and that'll be a Patreon thing.
We did a mystery puzzle with Jamie, with Ken's mom, over the holiday, and solved a mystery of the Titanic. And so we will share that if you're a Patreon subscriber.
And for those of you who aren't and who would like to be, if we get up to 100 Patreon subscribers, I will be getting a tattoo that says, "In Agatha we trust."
Yes, which means more than like when we first said that, because now I'm thinking everyone will think it has something to do with Agatha all along.
And they're wrong, but that's okay.
And they're wrong, but it's also cool.
Yeah.
That's also cool.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to Campfire Classics, not a tattoo podcast. Although, hey, listeners, if you want to get a tattoo, I've got some design ideas for you. Campfire Classics themed.
Oh, okay.
We've got a black and white logo that's just your face and my face.
If somebody does that, you are absolutely our biggest fan, and I also want to have a chat with you and make sure you've been going to your therapist recently.
But no, not a.
That's how we'll know we really made it.
Yeah, when somebody gets a tattoo.
Yeah, of our face.
That's
how we'll know we were popular in 2025.
On your face. The goal for 2020, the popularity goal for 2025 is to get somebody to get a Campfire Classics tattoo.
Damn right. Let's go. Let's go. All right.
Man, resolutions stated.
Challenge stated.
Proposed.
Yes. Challenge proposed.
Anyway, what we really do here at Campfire Classics is read short stories that we pull out of the public domain. Short stories that have never been heard before. That's probably not true. But certainly short stories that we have never seen before, and we attempt to cold read them to you. We look at the text sight unseen and struggle through the story as best we can. And along the way, we make fun of things like silly, outdated language and antiquated penis jokes.
Always.
Sometimes we also make fun of old school racism. It just sort of depends on the story.
Or we just delete it entirely to avoid the bullshit.
It depends on how old
severity.
School and how racist it is. Anyway, this week I have chosen a story for Heather to read, starting the year off right. But before we jump into the story, I'm going to share a few fun facts.
Fun facts.
As as regular listeners know, January 1st is Public Domain Day.
Yes.
Which means a whole slew of new stories and other things, other art and whatnot, come into the public domain, which means that they can be used without any cost to anybody.
Yay, free.
This year, new entrants into public domain include films like Showboat.
Okay.
Coconuts.
Speaking of old school racism.
Yeah. Coconuts, the Marx Brothers' first film.
Okay.
And the 1929 film The Return of Sherlock Holmes. This was the first talkie to feature Sherlock Holmes, the first movie with sound.
Okay.
It was made during something known as the pre-code era. Basically, censorship laws took a while to catch up with movie-making technology, so there were a few years between the invention of the talkie and the formation of movie decency codes, when old movies were getting away with, like, profanity, sexual innuendo, and romantic relationships between people of different races and the same genders.
That's fucking great. I was like, wait, so like porn was just there? It was like, we can film it. It's fine.
So they still had to negotiate with local like rules in terms of if they wanted to get shown on the screens. But there was no overarching law governing it. So they got away with some wild stuff.
Awesome.
There are going to be a lot of these pre-code films entering public domain over the next couple of years because once talkies were created, censorship laws didn't start getting enforced until like the mid-30s.
Okay.
So we've still got about 5 years of what is considered kind of pre-code.
Okay. During Norma Desmond's downfall, yes.
Yes.
Pre-code, Norma Desmond's downfall.
Also entering public domain, music, including the songs Ain't Misbehavin' and Singin' in the Rain. And Gershwin's jazz poem, An American in Paris.
Oh, all right.
Books entering public domain include All Quiet on the Western Front, the first English translation. The German story actually entered last year.
Okay.
But the first English translation has entered this year. A Farewell to Arms, The Maltese Falcon, Jack Pumpkinhead of Oz.
Yeah, and if you've seen Return to Oz, you know you're a true fan because you know I'm a true fan.
You know who Jack Pumpkinhead is.
Jack Pumpkinhead.
And that E.B. White classic, Is Sex Necessary, or Why You Feel the Way You Do.
Was this like a sex ed textbook
I think it's like psychology, sociology. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good one.
Mm-hmm. Also entering public domain is Popeye the Sailor Man.
Popeye the Sailor Man.
The character, not all of his appearances.
So not that song.
Probably not, yeah. No, he
I didn't sing that. Don't sue me, please.
He first graced the pages of the comics section in January of 1929.
Okay.
Yeah. This week's story is not newly available this year. It actually came into public domain last year, but I found it through a story that did become available this year and then looked at the collection that it was later printed in and found another story. And anyway, the story that became available this year was a little longer than we would have liked.
When we normally go with.
I played a little hopscotch, but I landed on this story by Dame Agatha Christie.
Yay! It's been so long.
This week, you'll be reading Wasps Nest, first published in the November 20th, 1928 edition of the Daily Mail.
I'm just imagining a bunch of skinny women on the Upper West Side drinking vodka now.
Waspy Nest.
The Wasps Nest.
Let's start this fire.
Let's do it. Wasps Nest. That's really hard to say.
All those sibilants.
I said lots of S's in this. I mean, it was good. I just was like, that was a lot of extra noises.
It's also wasps is one of those words where it's
Wasps.
there's an S in the middle of the word, and then you add an S to pluralize wasp to wasps, and then you put an apostrophe at the end, so there is an implied third S. It's wasps nest.
It also kind of sounds. It's basically WA and the sound you make to get a cat to come.
Wasps. If we hear it thwapping at the door, we know it's because the cat's here.
Wasps Nest by Agatha Christie.
Dame
Agatha Christie. Out of the house came John Harrison and stood a moment on the terrace looking out over the garden. He was a big man with a lean, cadaverous face.
Oh, damn.
Oh, that's too bad.
That's descriptive.
Yep. His aspect was usually somewhat grim, but when, as now, the rugged features softened into a smile, there was something very attractive about him.
Ooh, he's a sexy corpse.
So he's like Benedict Cumberbatch. like I think,
sexy corpse.
Yeah, like very lean, kind of like gout, but like when he like puts on the charm, you're like, why is that guy attractive? Because like, if you just saw him walking down the street and he wasn't Benedict Cumberbatch, you wouldn't look at him twice probably. But damn, that man can put on the charm.
A question that many people, including Benedict Cumberbatch, have been asking over the years is, why is that man attractive?
Why am I a sex symbol?
I think Graham Norton spent a lot of time trying to figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he is very open about it. But anyway, so that now this man is Benedict Cumberbatch in my head. Okay.
A broad-shouldered Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes. John Harrison loved his garden. Ironically, he played Sherlock Holmes. So
yeah.
John Harrison loved his garden, and it had never looked better than it did on this August evening, summery and languorous. The rambler roses were still beautiful. Sweet peas scented the air. That's the kind of lotion I wear.
Sweet pea?
Sweet pea. It's been my signature scent since they retired the lavender stuff that broke my heart. A well-known creaking sound made Harrison turn his head sharply. Who was coming in through the garden gate? In another minute, an expression of utter astonishment came over his face, for the dandified figure coming up the path was the last he expected to see in this part of the world. "By all that's wonderful!" cried Harrison. "Monsieur Poirot!"
Woo!
Yay! Poirot's
the hero
here.
entrance.
Poirot has arrived through the garden gate. It was indeed the famous Hercule Poirot, whose renown as a detective had spread all over the world. And
the joy suddenly dashed.
I forget what accent I give him. It's just
Belgian.
Butchered French. Oui. That is what I said. I'm fucking
That's
Russian.
super German.
I don't know what's happening.
Just pretend that you are about to kiss someone.
Pretend you are kissing someone.
That is the shape your lips should make.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, he said, it is. You said to me once, if you are ever in this part of the world, come and see me. I can't do that whole story. We won't make it. I take you at your word. I arrive. I think Poirot's just going to be me with a weird dialect.
That's totally fair. So when there is a character speaking with an indistinguishable, probably South African dialect, that will be Poirot.
That's funny that you think I can do a South African dialect.
No, I don't. I think your attempt at Belgian French will sound South African.
Oh, it's been too long. All right, Mr. Harrison's British, though. We like him. "And I'm obliged," said Harrison heartily. "Sit down and have a drink." With a hospitable hand, he indicated a table on the veranda bearing assorted bottles. I thank you, said Poirot, sitting down into a basket chair. You have, I suppose, no syrup? No, I thought not. A little plain soda water, then. No whiskey. And he added in a feeling voice as the other placed the glass beside him. Alas, my moustaches are limp. It is this heat.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I hate
it's
when
so
your
hot. Even the moustaches are
limp.
droopy.
So sad. So sad, limpy mustache.
Hate a limp mustache.
I don't even know what that is a euphemism for.
Really?
Just a mustache. Oh, now I see it. Okay. And what brings you into this quiet spot? Asked Harrison as he dropped into another chair. Pleasure? No, mon ami, business. Business? In this out-of-the-way place? Poirot nodded gravely. But yes, my friend, all crimes are not committed in crowds, you know. The other laughed. I suppose that was rather an idiotic remark of mine, but what particular crime are you investigating down here, or is that a thing I mustn't ask? You may ask, said the detective. Indeed, I would prefer that you asked. Harrison looked at him curiously. He sensed something a little unusual in the other's manner. You are investigating a crime, you say? He advanced rather hesitantly. A serious crime?
No, mon ami, it is jaywalking. The police always bring me in for the most petty of crimes.
I have come all the way to this garden gate to investigate the children that have whitewashed your fence overnight. I have a feeling his name is Tom Sawyer. I am Poirot. I am brilliant.
Have you met his friend Huckleberry Finn? And inappropriate racist word, Jim.
Wasn't his name just Jim?
No, it was that word, Jim.
Are you
in the
fucking
book.
serious?
Oh yeah, that's what they call him through the whole book.
No. I am so glad that version never made it across my bookshelf.
I believe that is
sure it's
what
been
appears
edited out.
in Huck Finn. I don't know if that's how they refer to him in Tom Sawyer. I know that it's how they refer to him in Huck Finn.
Oh my God. Okay.
And like the thing, like he's a good guy and he is
I
a
know.
good friend of the people who call him that.
I know.
But yeah, that's that awkward historical racism.
Yuck. All right, back to this story. A serious crime. A crime of the most serious there is. You mean murder. So gravely did Hercule Poirot say the word that Harrison was quite taken aback. The detective was looking straight at him, and again, there was something so unusual in his glance that Harrison hardly knew how to proceed. At last he said, "But I have heard of no murder." That was Poirot. At last he said, "But I have heard of no murder." "No," said Poirot. "You would not have heard of it."
Idiot.
Who has been murdered? As yet, said Hercule Poirot, nobody. What?
Wait a sec.
Wait, is this my murder you're investigating? I'd be like, why are you here? Get out of my garden. I don't like this.
Is this Minority Report?
Hercule Poirot is like...
Is this Hercule Poirot as played by Tom Cruise?
Or...
is he just going to go running around and like...
trying to stop murders before they happen?
Kidnapping the precogs?
Wow, that was a deep pull, baby.
That was a major movie. That was a blockbuster
movie. I don't remember what
30
a precog
years ago.
is. Yeah, I was like...
The precogs, they're the triplets who they spend all their time in that vat of some sort of
the
liquid
goo,
and they can see the future. They're the ones who tell
I'd forgotten about that part.
who's gonna commit the crimes.
Yeah. What a weird... Yeah, that was... Now I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember that.
So this Hercule Poirot, For the rest of this episode, Hercule Poirot is played by Tom Cruise.
I don't want Tom Cruise in my story.
Arguably is more appropriate than the, like, towering Aryan 6-foot-tall Kenneth Branagh.
Maybe. But I don't
At least he's short.
I don't want Tom Cruise in my Hercule Poirot story.
All right, fine. It can be someone else.
He's too wacky woo. And he's doing, like, Mission Impossible 40 right now.
There have been a lot of them.
Yeah, we saw a preview for it at Wicked. I was like, stop.
Yeah, is it
Just stop.
9 or 10 that's
I
coming?
don't know. I quit. I never even saw the first one. So.
No, I saw the first 3.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, if
Anyway,
you're into that kind of movie.
whatever. I'm into this movie, Murder. So, so he's here to investigate a murder that hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
That's never a good sign. It's when some guy that you know has walked into your backyard while you're gardening and is like, oh, I'm just here to investigate the murder that hasn't happened yet, all while he's staring weirdly at you and going, you feeling okay? You feeling okay? Oh no, is he gonna get fucking my-girled? Is he gonna get stung by a bunch of wasps? And then, like, oh no, he can't see without his glasses. That's a deep cut right there. I just took your Minority Report and went, you want a Minority Report? I'm gonna Macaulay Culkin my girl.
It's at least an older cut.
It is an older cut. I don't know if it is as deep.
I don't know if it's more obscure, but it's older.
It is older. All right, anyway, back to the story. As of yet, said Hercule Poirot, nobody has been murdered. What? That is why I said you would not have heard of it. I am investigating a crime that has not yet taken place. But look here, that is nonsense. Not at all. If one can investigate a murder before it has happened, surely that is very much better than afterwards. One might even, a little idea, prevent it. So that's exactly what he's trying to do.
Prevent a murder.
Harrison stared at him. You are not serious, Monsieur Poirot. But yes, I am serious. You really believe that a murder is going to be committed? Oh, it's absurd. Hercule Poirot finished the first part of the sentence without taking any notice of the exclamation. Unless we may prevent it. Yes, mon ami. That is what I mean. We? I said we. I shall need your cooperation. Is that why you came down here? Again, Poirot looked at him, and again, an indefinable something made Harrison uneasy. I came here, Monsieur Harrison, because like you. Ooh, Monsieur Poirot. You could have just written me a letter and asked for my hand in marriage. You didn't have to come all this way.
Propose in a letter? Come on. That's worse than breaking up in a text message.
I mean, that was the way of the time.
You don't propose in a letter, though. You can start a courtship in a letter.
I mean, I've read similar things on this podcast.
Ugh.
Not saying it's romantic. I'm just saying that people used to do that.
Awful. Tacky.
Gross.
Classless.
Nasty. It's like proposing at a fucking baseball game. To anyone who has done that, that's really cute, and I'm sure it was very important to both of you.
Eye roll. Sorry, I had to narrate what was happening so that because visual cues don't work well.
Because we're one of the few podcasts that still doesn't videotape us doing this because that's way too much. I'm sorry. All right. I came here, Monsieur Harrison, because like you. And then he added an entirely different voice. Oh, good, because I've had like 12 for him, so... I see, Monsieur Harrison, that you have a wasps nest there. You should destroy it.
What you got against wasps?
Everything.
They're fucking awful.
They suck. Don't hurt the bees, but the wasp can go fuck themselves all the way back to hell.
Yeah. Wasps and hornets, absolutely useless.
The change of subject made Harrison frown in a puzzled way. He followed Poirot's glance and said in a bewildered voice, "As a matter of fact, I'm going to. Or rather, young Langton is. You remember Claude Langton? He was at that same dinner where I met you. He's coming over this evening to take the nest. Rather fancies himself at the job." "Ah," said Poirot. "And how is he going to do it?" "Petrol and the garden syringe. He's bringing his own syringe over. It's a more convenient size than mine." That's nasty.
My syringe is just too large. He's bringing his own.
He's going to pee all over the wasp nest. I don't think that's how it works. It's his garden hose. He's like, "I'm bringing over my garden syringe, if you know what I mean." Do not fuck a wasp nest, y'all.
That is not the best way to kill anything.
Or pee on it. I just don't. This is not a this is a entertainment podcast, not a information podcast. Though sometimes we give information, but that is not information. Please don't sue us.
It is information. It's not a recommendation.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Bringing his own syringe over. There is another way, is there not? Asked Poirot, with cyanide of potassium. Harrison looked a little surprised. "Yes, but that's rather dangerous stuff. Always a risk having it about the place." Poirot nodded gravely. "Yes, it is deadly poison." He waited a minute and then repeated in a grave voice, "Deadly poison." He's being very cryptic.
Drama queen.
He's being fucking cryptic as hell. "Useful if you want to do away with your mother-in-law, eh?" "Oh, shit," said Harrison with a laugh.
Do you know who you're talking to? Don't say shit like that.
Dude, don't, no. Uh-oh. But Hercule Poirot remained grave. "And you are quite sure, Monsieur Harrison, that it is with the petrol that Monsieur Langton is going to destroy your wasp's nest?" "Quite sure? Why?" "I wondered. I was at the chemist in Barchester this afternoon. For one of my purchases, I had to sign the poison book. I saw the last entry. It was for cyanide of potassium, and it was signed by Claude Langton."
Zundun.
Harrison stared. "That's odd," he said. "Langton told me just the other day that he'd never dream of using the stuff. In fact, he said it oughtn't be sold for the purpose." Poirot looked out over the garden. His voice was very quiet, and he asked a question. "Do you like Langton?" This is so cryptic. The other started. The question somehow seemed to find him quite unprepared.
Well, yeah, you never just ask someone if they like someone. You got to work your way up to that.
Yeah,
like this is you learn this shit in like the school lunchroom.
To be fair, Poirot walked right up to him. He's like, I like you.
Yeah, he's breaking all the rules.
Breaking all the rules. That's what Poirot does. The question somehow seemed to find him quite unprepared. Well, I mean, of course, I like him. Why shouldn't I? "I only wondered," said Poirot placidly, "whether you did." And as the other did not answer, he went on. "I also wondered if he liked you." "What are you getting at, Monsieur Poirot? There's something in your mind I can't fathom." "I am going to be very frank. You are engaged to be married, Monsieur Harrison. I know Miss Molly Dean. She is very charming and a very beautiful girl. Before she was engaged to you, she was engaged to Claude Langton. She threw him over for you." Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We got a love triangle. Harrison nodded. "I do not ask what her reasons were. She may have been justified. But I tell you this. It is not too much to suppose that Langton has not forgotten or forgiven." "You're wrong, Monsieur Poirot. I swear you're wrong. Langton's been a sportsman. He's taken things like a man. He's been amazingly decent to me. Gone out of his way to be friendly." Mm-hmm. "Yeah, he's plotting your motherfucking demise."
Never trust someone who has reason to hate you And is really nice.
Really nice. Yeah, you're like, don't like it. I don't.
People generally aren't that nice.
Well, it's keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, you stole my girl. I got some. I'll come over and deal with your wasp nest. That sounded dirty.
Yeah, man, I'll come over and deal with your wasp.
Maybe he doesn't actually care about the woman at all, but he likes Langton, or Langton likes Harrison.
Oh, and the cyanide is for
the woman,
the fiance.
Yeah.
Got to get her out of the way.
Yeah, he's like, I got her out of the way, but then she went over to the guy I wanted. God damn it.
Making this a possible pre-code movie.
Hey! And it's in public domain. So yes, it could have been, because it's old enough. That does not strike you as unusual. You use the word amazingly, but you do not seem to be amazed. What do you mean, Monsieur Poirot? I mean, said Poirot, and his voice had a new note in it, that a man may conceal his hate till the proper time comes. Hate? Harrison shook his head and laughed. The English are very stupid, said Poirot.
I'm just going to put it out there.
I'm just going to say.
You people, dumb.
Y'all, I'm sitting right here and I'm telling you what the plot of this story is, and you're like, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. The English are very stupid, said Poirot. They think they can deceive everyone, but that no one can deceive them. The sportsman, the good fellow. Never will they believe evil of him, and because they are brave, but stupid, sometimes they die when they need not die. You're all too nice to believe that any of you could be bad, and that causes people to die. I mean, yeah.
Dummy, dummy, dum, dum.
Dum, dum, dummy, dum, dum. You are warning me, said Harrison in a low voice. I see it now. What has puzzled me all along. You are warning me against Claude Langton. You came here today to warn me. Poirot nodded. Harrison sprang up suddenly. But you are mad, Monsieur Poirot. This is England. Things don't happen like that here. Disappointed suitors don't go about stabbing people in the back and poisoning them. And you're wrong about Langton. That chap wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, he's not going to hurt a fly. He's going to hurt some wasps. The lives of flies are not my concern, said Poirot placidly. And although you say Monsieur Langton would not take the life of one, yet you forget that he is even now preparing to take the lives of several thousand wasps.
Right?
That's right.
Clearly, he's a murderous dick.
Anyone who kills a wasp. What? Wait a minute.
If you can kill a wasp, you can kill a person.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I do love that he's like, he knows this guy is like the most brilliant detective in the world. And he has basically just told him, I know he bought poison. This guy wants to kill you. And he's like, not in England. No. Harrison did not once reply. The little detective in his turn sprang to his feet. He advanced to his friend and laid a hand on his shoulder. So agitated was he that he almost shook the big man, and as he did so, he hissed into his ear. Jesus! Sexy. Poirot hissing into your ear. Rouse yourself, my friend. Rouse yourself. Oh, and he says, rouse yourself. This is dirty.
Tom Cruise hissing into Benedict Cumberbatch's ear. Rouse yourself.
Now that is some pre-code movie right there. Rouse yourself, my friend. Rouse yourself. And look where I am pointing. There on the bank. Close by that tree root. See you, the wasp returning home, placid at the ends of the day? In a little hour, there will be destruction, and they know it's not. There is no one to tell them. They have not, it seems, a Hercule Poirot. I tell you, Monsieur Harrison, I am down here on business. Murder is my business, and it is my business before it has happened as well as afterwards. At what time does Monsieur Langton come to take the Wasps Nest? Langton would never. At what time? Damn. You know what, Harrison? I think you need to call. I think you're going to just have to give in to this. He's being very, very, very insistent. At what time?
This is one of the things I struggle with in a lot of book, movie, television series. It's the thing where...
The stupid people?
Where you have a hero figure who has proven, maybe against all odds, maybe not, time and time again, to be right. They always know what they're talking about. They always get it right. Mm-hmm. And yet people always insist, no, not this time. It's the Harry Potter thing, right?
Yeah.
He's year after year, he comes back and he's like, I fucking told you that this was the thing that was happening,
yeah.
But you didn't listen. And then they're all like, oh my God, by the end of the year, oh my God, Harry, you were right. We're so sorry we ever doubted you. And then by the end of first semester next year, they're all like, fucking Harry, he's at it again. As if he wasn't telling the truth every fucking time. It's the same thing.
It really is. It's like, it's human stupidity. It's just like, nuh-uh, I don't believe you. Where are we? At what time? At 9 o'clock, but I tell you, you're all wrong. Langton would never. This English, cried Poirot in a passion. I love that this is just a story bashing the English written by an English woman. It's amazing.
No one can bash a people better than a member of their own.
That's true. He caught up in his hat and stick and moved down the path, pausing to speak over his shoulder. I do not stay to argue with you. I should only enrage myself, but you understand. I return at 9 o'clock. Harrison opened his mouth to speak, but Poirot did not give him the chance. So that wasn't really a question. It has a question mark. But he's like, I'm coming back at 9.
No, I'm doing it.
Yep. I know what you will say. Langton would never, etc. Langton would never. But all the time, I return at 9 o'clock. But yes, it will amuse me. Put it like that. It will amuse me to see the taking of the Wasps Nest. Another of your English sports. I love how pissed off Poirot is right now. He's like, these people.
I'm done with you.
These people. I'm gonna go have a cocktail. I'll be back. He waited for no reply, but passed rapidly down the path and out through the door that creaked. Once outside on the road, his pace slackened. His vivacity died down. His face became grave and troubled. Once he drew his watch from his pocket and consulted it. The hands pointed to 10 minutes past 8. Over 3/4 of an hour. Why is he so German? I don't know why. Over 3/4. How do you say? How would you say it in French? Over
3/4 of an hour.
Over 3/4 of an hour. Three? Over 3/4. I'm just sticking with it. Over 3/4 of an hour, he murmured. I wonder if I should have waited. His footsteps slackened. He almost seemed on the point of returning. Some vague foreboding seemed to assail him. He shook it off resolutely, however, and continued to walk in the direction of the village. But his face was still troubled, and once or twice he shook his head like a man only partly satisfied. It was still some minutes off 9 when he once more approached the garden door. It was a clear, still evening. Hardly a breeze stirred the leaves. There was, perhaps, something a little sinister in the stillness, like the lull before the storm. Poirot's footsteps quickened ever so slightly. He was suddenly alarmed and uncertain. He feared he knew not what. And at that moment, the garden door opened, and Claude Langton stepped quickly out into the road. He started when he saw Poirot.
Ruh-roh.
He went early. Uh-oh. Good evening. Good evening, Monsieur Langton. You are early. Langton stared at him. I don't know what you mean. You have taken the Wasps Nest? As a matter of fact, I did. Oh, said Poirot softly. So you did not take the Wasps Nest. What did you do, then? Oh, I just sat and yawned a bit with old Harrison. I really must hurry along now, Monsieur Poirot. I'd no idea you were remaining in this part of the world. I had business here, you see. Oh, well, you'll find Harrison on the terrace. Sorry I can't stop. He hurried away. Poirot looked after him. A nervous young fellow. A nervous young fellow, good-looking, with a weak mouth.
Huh.
I mean, the voice I gave him kind of sounds like that. So, I shall find Harrison on the terrace, murmured Poirot. I wonder. He went in through the garden door and up the path. Harrison was sitting in a chair by the table. He sat motionless and did not even turn his head as Poirot came up to him. Ah, mon ami, said Poirot. Are you all right, eh? There was a long pause, and then Harrison said in a queer, dazed voice, What did you say? I said, are you all right? All right? Yes, I'm all right. Why not? You feel no ill effects? That is good. Ill effects from what? Washing soda. Harrison roused himself suddenly. Washing soda? What do you mean? Poirot made an apologetic gesture. I infinitely regret the necessity, but I put some in your pocket. You put some in my pocket? What on earth for? Harrison stared at him. Poirot spoke quietly and impersonally, like a lecturer coming down to the level of a small child.
Listen, you stupid Englishman.
Yeah. You see, one of the advantages or disadvantages of being a detective, that it brings you into contact with the criminal classes. And the criminal classes, they can teach you some very interesting and curious things. There was a pickpocket once. I interested myself in him because, for once in a way, he had not done what they said he had done. And so I get him off.
Well, that is service with a smile.
He reached into his pocket and got him off. There we go. And because
that's one use of pickpocketing skills.
And because he is grateful, he pays me in the only way he can think of, which is to show me the trick of the trade. And so, it happens that I can pick a man's pocket if I choose, without him ever suspecting the fact. I lay one hand on his shoulder, I excite myself, and he feels nothing.
What?
This is what he was doing when he was rousing him earlier.
He feels nothing.
That's sneaky.
That's
a gaping hole.
Wow.
That's a gaping entrance.
Or you don't have much to rouse.
I don't know.
It's possible that Poirot excited just isn't anything to feel.
I don't know. It's the pickpocket way. Apparently a pickpocket can do it too, so I guess, who knows. But all's the same, I have managed to transfer what is in his pocket to my pocket and leave washing soda in its place. You see, continued Poirot dreamily, if a man wants to get at some poison quickly to put in a glass unobserved, he positively must keep it in his right-hand coat pocket. There is nowhere else. I knew it would be there. He drops his hand into his pocket and brought out a few white, lumpy crystals. Exceedingly dangerous, he murmured, to carry it out like that, loose. Wait, Harrison was gonna... Is Harrison going to...
Did he bump into...
I don't think he touched
Langton earlier.
I don't know. Let's find out.
He must have bumped into Langton earlier.
But he didn't... He at the...
We'll see.
Yeah. Calmly and Calmly and without hurrying himself, he took from another pocket a wide-mouthed bottle. He slipped in the crystals, stepped to the table, and filled up the bottle with plain water. Then, carefully corking it, he shook it until all the crystals were dissolved. Harrison watched him as though fascinated. Satisfied with his solution, Poirot stepped across to the nest. He uncorked the bottle, turned his head aside, and poured the solution onto the wasp's nest, then stood back a pace or two watching. Some wasps that were returning alightance quivered a little and then lay still. Other wasps crawled out the hole only to die. Poirot watched for a minute or two and then nodded his head and came back to the veranda. "A quick death," he said. "A very quick death." Harrison found his voice. "How much do you know?" Yep. Poirot looked straight ahead. "As I told you, I saw Claude Langton's name in the book. What I did not tell you was that almost immediately afterwards I happened to meet him. He told me he had been buying cyanide of potassium at your request to take a wasp's nest. That struck me as a little odd, my friend, because I remember that at dinner, of which you had spoke, you held forth on the superior merits of petrol and denounced the buying of cyanide as dangerous and unnecessary." Go on. Oh, he was gonna... What? "I knew something else. I had seen Claude Langton and Molly Dean together when they thought no one saw them. I do not know what lover's quarrel it was that originally parted them and drove her into your arms, but I realized that misunderstandings were over and Miss Dean was drifting back to her love." Go on. "I knew something more, my friend. I was in Harley Street the other day, and I saw you come out of a certain doctor's house. I know the doctor and for what disease one consults him, and I read the expression on your face. I have seen it only once or twice in my lifetime, but it is not easily mistaken. It was the face of a man under sentence of death. Am I right?" "I am right, am I not?" "Quite right. He gave me 2 months." "You did not see, my friend, for you had other things to think about. I saw something else on your face. The thing that I told you this afternoon men tried to conceal? I saw hate there, my friend. You did not trouble to conceal it because you thought you were none... You did not trouble to conceal it because you thought there were none to observe." "Go on," said Harrison. "There is not much more to say. I came down here, saw Langton's name by accident in the poison book, as I tell you, met him, and came here to you. I laid traps for you. You denied having asked Langton to get cyanide, or rather you expressed surprise at him having done so. You were taken aback at first at my appearance, but presently you saw how well it would fit in, and you encouraged my suspicions. I knew from Langton himself that he was coming at 8:30. You told me 9 o'clock, thinking I should come and find everything over, and so I knew everything." "Why did you come?" cried Harrison. "If only you hadn't come!" Poirot drew himself up. "I told you," he said. "Murder is my business." "Murder? Suicide, you mean?" "No." Poirot's voice rang out sharply and clearly. "I mean murder. Your death was to be quick and easy, but the death you planned for Langton was the worst death any man can die. He bought the poison. He comes to see you, and he is alone with you. You die suddenly, and the cyanide is found in your glass, and Claude Langton hangs. That was your plan." Again, Harrison moaned. "Why did you come? Why did you come?" "I have told you, but there is another reason. I liked you. Listen, mon ami. You are a dying man. You have lost the girl you loved, but there is one thing that you are not. You are not a murderer. Tell me now, are you glad or sorry that I came?" There was a moment's pause, and Harrison drew himself up. There was a new dignity in his face, the look of a man who had conquered his own baser self. He stretched out his hand across the table. "Thank goodness you came," he cried. "Oh, thank goodness you came." The end.
Wow.
That was an interesting Poirot story.
That was also a surprisingly sort of heavy, melancholic twist at the end.
It really was. I was like, what? All
right.
Okay.
Cool.
Damn. All right, Agatha. Always throwing something new at us. We never know what to expect.
Yep.
Even when he tells us what to expect.
Yeah.
And then that's not what's happening.
Yep.
Interesting. All right. Well, I liked that. Also, I always like to thank someone when they came.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank goodness you have. Why did you come? Why did you come? Thank goodness you came. Thank goodness you came.
Thank goodness you came.
That's what happens when you rouse someone. And
thank goodness you came. Is it my turn now?
I've roused you. Now it's your turn to rouse me. I traveled all this way to make your last couple months happier. And that's the least you can do, Harrison.
All right. A good mystery.
Yeah, that was great. I liked that one. And again, like I said, Agatha always throwing a wrench into the fire there.
Gets me every time.
Yep. You never know where it's going.
One last twist. So, campers, what did you think of that one? Did you enjoy it? Did you follow along? Did you get there before we did? Inquiring minds and such. So, write into Campfire Classics, either by messaging us on social media, any of, the usual suspects. Just look for Campfire Classics Podcast, or email us at 5050artsproduction@gmail.com and let us know what you thought of this particular Poirot mystery. Also, let us know what your favorite post-coital podcast is.
Yeah.
Because I think that's funny. When you write in, go ahead and use this week's secret passcode, which is Limp Mustache.
Limp Mustache.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of it. It's good to be back for the new year. Always a pleasure to hang around.
Hang on tight, everyone.
Yeah, we'll be here with you as many Wednesdays this year as we can be. Yeah. That's
where we are.
All I've got. Anything from you?
No, that was a good one. I always love an Agatha. In Agatha we do trust.
Yep.
Yes, we do.
So thank you for listening. This has been fun, and until next week, we have been Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
Those wasps were not defying gravity.
Not for long.
They